In the NBA, not every legend gets the ending they deserve. Some stars were forced out by injuries, others by tragedy, and a few never even got the chance to reach their prime. Imagine the championships lost, the dynasties that never happened, and the what-ifs that still haunt the game today. These are the NBA players who retired far too early, and the stories will shock you. Brandon Roy, an electrifying guard whose prime was stolen by knees that couldn't keep up. Brandon Roy entered the NBA in 2006 as the 6th overall pick for the Portland Trail Blazers, instantly becoming a smooth, clutch guard with deep range, quick handles, and a killer mid-range pull-up. Roy wasn't just a scorer. He could create for teammates, finish in traffic, and deliver in moments that made fans hold their breath. Rookie of the Year discussions quickly followed, and by 2008, he was an all-star, showing the kind of calm confidence and elite skill that made Portland exciting again. But beneath the highlight reels, trouble was brewing. Chronic knee issues, a mix of degenerative cartilage and injuries, started limiting his explosiveness. Despite surgeries and rehab, Roy's knees failed him repeatedly. By 2011, at just 27 years old, he announced his retirement, cutting short what could have been a Hall of Fame trajectory. Fans, analysts, and teammates were left wondering, how great could he have been without the injuries? Roy's story is both inspiring and heartbreaking, a reminder that skill, heart, and dedication can't always fight biology. His early exit left a lasting mark on Portland, and the NBA still remembers the smooth guard who shined too briefly. Derrick Rose, the youngest MVP in NBA history, whose prime was derailed by relentless injuries. Derrick Rose burst onto the NBA scene in 2008 as the first overall pick by the Chicago Bulls, electrifying fans with unmatched speed, acrobatic finishes, and court vision that made him unstoppable. By 2011, at just 22, he became the youngest MVP ever, leading the Bulls with leadership and elite scoring. The city of Chicago was riding high on his brilliance, seeing a future MVP-caliber career unfolding. Then injuries struck. A torn ACL in the 2012 playoffs, followed by recurring knee and meniscus issues, derailed Rose's trajectory. Each comeback brought hope, but his explosiveness was gone, and the clock on his prime kept ticking. By the time he hit his late 20s, Derrick's game was transformed, more cautious, more reliant on skill than athleticism. Fans and analysts still wonder what heights he could have reached without those devastating injuries. Derrick Rose's story is a lesson in resilience, potential, and the cruel hand injuries can deal. Yao Ming, the towering center who bridged continents but whose body betrayed him too soon. Yao Ming entered the NBA in 2002 as the first overall pick for the Houston Rockets, instantly captivating the league with his 7 feet 6 inches frame, soft shooting touch, and passing skills rare for a big man. Yao wasn't just tall, he was skilled, intelligent, and a global icon who brought China and the NBA closer than ever. On the court, he could score in the post, hit mid-range jumpers, and alter shots on defense, quickly earning multiple All-Star selections. But Yao's body couldn't sustain the grind. Chronic foot, ankle, and knee injuries limited him to just 486 games across 8 seasons. Surgeries and rehabilitation dominated his career, and despite attempts at comebacks, he retired in 2011 at age 30, leaving fans to imagine the dominance that could have been. Yao Ming's story is a mix of skill, fame, and tragedy, a reminder that even giants can fall to the wear and tear of the NBA. Drazen Petrovic, the sharpshooting guard whose talent lit up the NBA, but whose career was cut tragically short. Drazen Petrovic joined the NBA in 1989 with the Portland Trail Blazers, but truly flourished after moving to the New Jersey Nets. Known for his deadly shooting, lightning-quick release, and fearless scoring, Petrovic quickly became one of the league's most efficient and prolific guards. He could create his own shot, navigate tight defenses, and was equally adept at hitting clutch shots from deep. Internationally, he was already a star, but in the NBA, he was proving he belonged among the elite. Tragically, Petrovic's career was cut short at just 28 when he died in a car accident in 1993. At the time, he was in his prime, averaging over 20 points per game and emerging as a Nets franchise cornerstone. His death left fans, teammates, and the basketball world to wonder just how great he could have been. Drazen's legacy endures as a pioneer for European players in the NBA. But before we get there, let me ask you, which player do you think had their career cut the shortest? Drop it in the comments because some of the names coming up might surprise you. Penny Hardaway, the electrifying guard who could do it all but whose prime was stolen by injuries. Penny Hardaway entered the NBA in 1993 as the third overall pick, joining the Orlando Magic. Instantly, he showcased a rare combination of size, vision, and skill, a 6'7" guard who could score, pass, and defend at elite levels. Partnered with Shaquille O'Neal, Hardaway helped lead the Magic to the NBA Finals in 1995, earning multiple All-Star selections along the way. Fans marveled at his smooth crossovers, deep threes, and court awareness, seeing a player who could dominate in every facet of the game. But injuries began to take their toll. Persistent knee problems forced him to miss significant time, limiting his explosiveness and cutting short what could have been a Hall of Fame career. By the late 90s, Hardaway was no longer the unstoppable force he once was. Yet, despite a career curtailed by injury, Penny's impact is remembered for redefining the modern point guard and inspiring future generations with his blend of size and skill. Grant Hill, the smooth, versatile star whose ceiling was sky-high until injuries rewrote his story. Grant Hill entered the NBA in 1994 as the third overall pick, joining the Detroit Pistons. He immediately became a force, blending scoring, passing, and defense with an elegance rarely seen. Hill could play multiple positions, run the offense, and finish with authority, earning 7 All-Star selections in his first 8 seasons. Fans and analysts saw a future Hall of Famer with the potential to dominate a generation. But injuries began to mount, starting with ankle issues and later multiple surgeries that disrupted his rhythm and durability. Seasons were shortened, games missed, and Hill's prime was continually interrupted. Despite these setbacks, he reinvented himself as a dependable role player with the Orlando Magic and Phoenix Suns, still contributing with experience and basketball IQ. Grant Hill's career is a reminder that even immense talent can be tempered by the fragility of the human body, yet resilience and adaptability can still leave a lasting legacy. Stick around. Next, a superstar whose career was derailed even before his peak fully arrived. Bill Walton, the dominant center whose brilliance was often eclipsed by relentless injuries. Bill Walton entered the NBA in 1974 as the first overall pick, joining the Portland Trail Blazers with sky-high expectations. Walton's passing, rebounding, and defensive instincts made him a generational talent. He could run the floor like a guard, orchestrate the offense, and dominate the paint. In 1977, he led the Blazers to their first and only championship, earning Finals MVP and confirming his superstar potential. But injuries became a constant shadow. Foot problems, surgeries, and chronic pain limited his playing time and derailed seasons. Walton bounced between teams, including the Celtics, contributing when healthy but never able to sustain a long-term peak. Despite this, his impact when on the floor was undeniable. He altered games with skill, basketball IQ, and leadership. Bill Walton's story is a testament to both extraordinary talent and the cruel reality that injuries can cut short even the most promising career. Andrew Bynum, a towering center with championship potential, sidelined by relentless injuries. Andrew Bynum entered the NBA straight out of high school, drafted 10th overall by the Los Angeles Lakers in 2005. Standing 7 feet 0 inches, Bynum combined size, agility, and skill, making him a modern center capable of scoring inside, blocking shots, and grabbing rebounds with ease. By the 2008-09 season, he was a key piece alongside Kobe Bryant, helping the Lakers win back-to-back championships. But injuries constantly interrupted his ascent. Knee and back problems limited his mobility and consistency, leading to missed games and declining performance. Trades to other teams, including the Philadelphia 76ers and Cleveland Cavaliers, never restored his peak form. At just 26, Bynum's career had already started winding down. Despite flashes of dominance, his body betrayed him, forcing an early exit. Andrew Bynum's story is a stark reminder of how fragile greatness can be, even for a player with Hall of Fame talent, size, and skill. We're building a community of NBA fans who love the game's untold stories. So if you're new here, subscribe and join us. You don't want to miss the legends we're about to cover. Chris Bosh, an elite scorer, versatile defender, but a career cut short by health struggles.
Chris Bosh entered the NBA as the 4th overall pick in 2003 with the Toronto Raptors, quickly establishing himself as a versatile big man. He could stretch the floor with his shooting, defend multiple positions, and create matchup nightmares. Bosh was a cornerstone, earning multiple All-Star selections and consistently posting double-doubles. In 2010, Bosh joined LeBron James and Dwayne Wade in Miami, forming the iconic Big Three and winning 2 championships. While the title cemented his legacy, his individual stats and on-court freedom were limited, as he adapted to superstar teammates. Later, Bosh faced a career-threatening battle with blood clots, forcing him to retire prematurely. Fans were left wondering what could have been if he had stayed healthy and led his own team. Chris Bosh's story is one of talent, sacrifice, and resilience, showing that even when personal glory is compromised, greatness can still shine.
Maurice Stokes, an unstoppable force until tragedy struck and ended his career too soon.
Maurice Stokes entered the NBA in 1955 with the Rochester Royals, quickly making a name as a dominant forward. He was a rebounding machine, averaging a double-double as a rookie, and his athleticism made him nearly unstoppable on both ends of the court. Stokes' intelligence and versatility earned him all-star selections and comparisons to the greatest of his era. Tragically, in 1958, after a brutal playoff game, Stokes suffered a severe head injury that caused permanent brain damage. The 24-year-old star collapsed and would never play again, leaving the basketball world in shock. Teammates and fans watched as a promising career full of potential Hall of Fame dominance ended abruptly. Maurice Stokes' story is a haunting reminder of how fragile athletic greatness can be, and how one moment can transform a career. Even in retirement, his legacy inspired initiatives like the Maurice Stokes Foundation, supporting players facing catastrophic injuries.
Larry Johnson, a powerhouse forward whose prime was cut short before the world fully saw his dominance.
Larry Johnson burst onto the NBA scene in 1991 with the Charlotte Hornets, winning Rookie of the Year and instantly becoming a fan favorite. Known for his explosive athleticism, acrobatic dunks, and versatile scoring, Johnson could dominate inside and hit the mid-range jumper, making him a nightmare matchup for any defender. His personality and charisma made him the face of the Hornets' early success. But chronic back injuries began to plague Johnson in his late 20s, limiting his explosiveness and forcing him to adapt his game. What could have been a decade of consistent all-star dominance was instead a career marked by physical limitations. By the early 2000s, Larry retired, leaving fans wondering what heights he could have reached if fully healthy. His story remains a cautionary tale. Raw talent and determination aren't always enough to withstand the relentless toll of injuries in the NBA.
And trust me, if you think this story is shocking, wait until you see the next one. It's even crazier.
Jay Williams, a rising star whose NBA dreams were derailed in an instant.
Jay Williams entered the NBA in 2002 as the second overall pick by the Chicago Bulls, coming off a stellar career at Duke where he won the Naismith College Player of the Year. Known for his elite court vision, scoring ability, and leadership, Williams looked destined to redefine the point guard position in Chicago. Fans expected him to lead a new Bulls era after the Jordan years. But in 2003, a devastating motorcycle accident changed everything. Williams suffered severe injuries that included a fractured pelvis and damage to his leg, forcing him to miss the entire season and eventually retire early. The accident abruptly halted a promising career before it could reach its full potential. Despite the setback, Williams later transitioned into broadcasting, sharing insights from his short-lived career. His story is a reminder of how fragile NBA careers can be. One decision off the court can erase years of hard work and potential.
Shaun Livingston, a smooth point guard whose career almost ended before it began.
Shaun Livingston was drafted 4th overall by the Los Angeles Clippers in 2004, hailed for his silky mid-range game, elite ball handling, and basketball IQ. Many expected him to become a cornerstone of the Clippers, a player who could control the pace and elevate any team around him. But in 2007, Livingston suffered a catastrophic knee injury. tearing his ACL, LCL, PCL, and dislocating his patella. Doctors feared he might never play again. Many wrote off his career entirely. Yet Livingston's perseverance and rehabilitation became legendary. He returned to the court, adapted his game, and eventually won 3 championships with the Golden State Warriors. Still, the injury robbed him of prime years where he could have starred on his own team. Shaun's story is a testament to resilience, but also a stark reminder of how quickly a promising career can be derailed. Talent alone isn't always enough. The body has to cooperate.
Arvydas Sabonis, a towering European talent whose NBA prime never fully arrived.
Arvydas Sabonis was already a legend in Europe before he even stepped on an NBA court. Drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers in 1986, Sabonis was a 7'3" center with unmatched passing, shooting, and basketball IQ. He dominated international competitions, making it clear he could transform any team. However, injuries and political restrictions kept him in Europe for most of his prime. By the time he joined the NBA in 1995 at age 31, decades of wear and knee problems limited his explosiveness. Sabonis still impressed, showing flashes of brilliance with incredible passing and post moves, but the peak years he could have dominated in the NBA were lost to circumstances beyond his control. His story highlights the cruel reality of timing and health. Even once-in-a-generation talent can't fully shine if fate and injuries intervene. Sabonis remains an icon, celebrated for what he accomplished and mourned for what the NBA never fully witnessed.
Gilbert Arenas, a scoring machine, a dazzling playmaker, but his career burned out too fast.
Gilbert Arenas entered the NBA as a spark in Washington, quickly becoming Agent Zero with jaw-dropping scoring, fearless drives, and clutch performances. He led the Wizards to multiple playoff appearances, racking up 50-point games and MVP-caliber seasons that made fans and analysts take notice. But injuries began to pile up. Ankle problems, knee issues, and lingering groin strains slowed him down, limiting his explosiveness. Off-court controversies, including the infamous locker room firearms incident, further complicated his trajectory, creating distractions that kept him from focusing solely on basketball. By his late 20s, Arenas' prime was slipping away. Trades, diminished playing time, and recurring injuries prevented him from ever reaching the sustained greatness he promised. His story is a reminder that talent alone isn't enough. Health, discipline, and circumstances can make or break a career. Arenas dazzled, thrilled, and shocked, but ultimately retired far earlier than the league expected.
Alonzo Mourning, an elite rim protector and dominant center, yet his prime was cut brutally short.
Alonzo Mourning entered the NBA as a force of nature, dominating the paint with shot blocking, rebounding, and intimidation. With the Charlotte Hornets and later the Miami Heat, he became a 7-time All-Star and a defensive stalwart who could change games without scoring a single point. But kidney disease struck in the middle of his career, threatening not just basketball, but his life. He underwent a kidney transplant in 2003, missing multiple seasons and putting his career in jeopardy. Despite this, Mourning made an incredible comeback, winning an NBA championship with Miami in 2006 and earning the admiration of teammates and fans alike. Still, his early potential was curtailed. Health issues forced him into retirement earlier than expected, leaving basketball fans to wonder how many more accolades and MVP-level seasons he might have achieved. Mourning's story is one of resilience, courage, and greatness interrupted by circumstances beyond his control.
Reggie Lewis, a Celtics star with unmatched scoring ability, whose career ended far too soon. Reggie Lewis emerged as the heart of the Boston Celtics in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Known for his smooth jump shot, clutch scoring, and leadership on the court, Lewis became the go-to player in Boston after Larry Bird's retirement. He averaged over 20 points per game in multiple seasons, cementing his status as one of the league's elite guards. But tragedy struck in 1993 when Lewis collapsed during an off-season practice due to an undetected heart condition. Despite previous medical warnings, he continued to play, and his untimely death at just 27 years old shocked the basketball world. Lewis's career is a haunting reminder of how fragile even the brightest talent can be. Though his NBA journey was painfully short, his scoring ability, dedication, and leadership left an enduring legacy that Celtics fans and the wider basketball community still honor today.
Derrick Coleman, a versatile forward with all-star talent, whose career was cut painfully short.
Derrick Coleman entered the NBA as the first overall pick in 1990, instantly showcasing his unique combination of size, athleticism, and skill. A 6'10" forward center, Coleman could score inside, hit mid-range jumpers, rebound at will, and protect the rim. His versatility made him a nightmare matchup and earned him an All-Star nod in 1994. Yet, despite his talent, injuries and inconsistent effort derailed his career. Chronic knee and back problems limited his playing time and prevented him from reaching the dominance many expected. Off-court distractions and team instability also contributed to a premature decline, leaving fans wondering what could have been if Coleman had stayed healthy and focused. Even with a career that ended too early, Derrick Coleman's impact on the court remains memorable. His flashes of brilliance, scoring ability, and versatility remind us of a player who could have been one of the greats had circumstances been kinder.
Len Bias, one of the most electrifying prospects the NBA ever saw, gone before he could shine.
Len Bias was drafted second overall by the Boston Celtics in 1986, coming off a stellar college career at Maryland, where he dominated with athleticism, scoring, and defensive prowess. Known for his explosive dunks and smooth mid-range game, Bias was expected to become the Celtics' next superstar and a generational talent. Tragically, just 2 days after the draft, Bias died from a cocaine overdose. His untimely death shocked the basketball world, leaving a gaping hole in the Celtics lineup and a legacy of unfulfilled potential. Fans and analysts endlessly debate what he could have achieved: all-star appearances, championships, and possibly Hall of Fame honors. Bias's story is a cautionary tale about the fragility of life and careers. Even with immense talent, external choices and circumstances can abruptly end a promising journey, leaving only what-ifs in their wake.
Zion Williamson, an explosive force whose NBA prime was constantly interrupted by injuries.
Zion Williamson entered the NBA as the #1 overall pick in 2019, drafted by the New Orleans Pelicans. Known for his incredible combination of size, athleticism, and agility, Zion could dominate the paint like few players in history. His dunks were highlight reel staples, and his ability to finish around the rim made him a unique matchup nightmare. But injuries immediately hampered his career. Foot and knee issues forced him to miss large chunks of multiple seasons, disrupting his development and rhythm. Every time he looked ready to take over games, setbacks kept him sidelined. Critics and fans alike began wondering if Zion would ever reach the superstar ceiling he promised. Despite flashes of brilliance, his career trajectory has been defined by what could have been. Zion's story is a lesson in raw talent colliding with physical fragility, reminding the league how quickly potential can be sidelined by circumstances beyond control.
Greg Oden, the towering center whose career was a promise cut painfully short.
Blazers. At 7 feet tall, with a rare combination of strength, shot-blocking ability, and post moves, Oden was expected to be the franchise cornerstone and a defensive anchor for years. From the start, Injuries derailed that vision. Knee problems plagued him, requiring multiple surgeries and forcing him to miss the majority of his first several seasons. Even when he returned, Oden struggled to regain his explosiveness and confidence on the court. Despite flashes of his potential, he could never stay healthy long enough to make a lasting impact. Oden's story is a cautionary tale about the fragility of even the most promising careers. His name remains synonymous with what might have been, a reminder that health is often the most unpredictable variable in an athlete's path to greatness.
Bob Cousy, the flashy point guard whose prime ended before many realized.
Bob Cousy, known as the Houdini of the hardwood, was a pioneer at the point guard position, dazzling fans with his passes, ball handling, and court vision. Playing for the Boston Celtics in the 1950s and early 60s, Cousy won 6 championships and earned 13 All-Star selections. Yet his career ended earlier than it could have. Chronic knee pain and nagging injuries began limiting his explosiveness by the mid-1960s. Even though he remained a team leader and mentor on the floor, his playing time and impact steadily declined, forcing Cousy into early retirement in 1963 at age 34. Despite the early exit, Cousy's influence on basketball is monumental. He changed how guards controlled the game, inspired generations, and left a legacy of creativity and innovation. His story shows that even legends can have careers cut short, reminding us how fleeting peak performance can be, no matter how gifted.
Pete Maravich, Pistol Pete, a scoring wizard whose brilliance was tragically short-lived. Pete Maravich entered the NBA in 1970 as the 3rd overall pick, instantly captivating fans with his flashy dribbling, pinpoint passes, and scoring creativity. Playing for the Atlanta Hawks and New Orleans/Utah Jazz, he averaged over 24 points per game in his career, redefining what a guard could do offensively. But injuries and health issues plagued him. Persistent knee problems limited his explosiveness, and a lack of proper conditioning for his era worsened the toll on his body. By the late 1970s, Maravich was no longer the unstoppable scorer he once was, leading to his retirement in 1980 at just 33 years old. Even with an early exit, Maravich's influence endures. His style inspired generations of players to handle, pass, and shoot creatively. Pistol Pete's story is a mix of brilliance and heartbreak, a reminder that even the most electrifying talents can be derailed by the fragility of the human body.
Chris Webber, an unstoppable force in his prime, yet injuries and circumstances cut his story short.
Chris Webber entered the NBA in 1993 as the 1st overall pick, instantly showcasing his unique combination of size, agility, and basketball IQ. Playing for the Golden State Warriors, Washington Bullets, and Sacramento Kings, Webber became one of the league's most versatile big men, excelling in passing, scoring, and rebounding. Despite his talent, persistent knee injuries and an ill-timed microfracture procedure began to derail his career. By his late 20s, Webber's explosive athleticism had diminished, forcing him to adjust his game and limiting his ability to dominate as he once did. Though he retired in 2008 at just 34, Webber left a lasting legacy. He was a 5-time All-Star and part of Sacramento's memorable Kings era, known for playoff runs that came heartbreakingly close to the finals. Webber's story is a cautionary tale of immense talent meeting the harsh reality of injury, showing how even the brightest stars can have their primes cut unexpectedly short.
Steve Francis, an electrifying point guard whose career burned bright but burned out too soon. Steve Francis exploded onto the NBA scene in 1999 as the 2nd overall pick by the Vancouver Grizzlies, instantly captivating fans with his speed, athleticism, and highlight reel plays. Known for acrobatic drives, deep-range jumpers, and relentless energy, Francis became one of the league's most exciting guards in the early 2000s. Despite his talent, recurring injuries, including ankle, knee, and back issues, slowly chipped away in his explosive game. Coupled with off-court distractions and clashes with management, Francis struggled to maintain consistency, ultimately leaving the league prematurely. By the time he retired, Francis had averaged over 18 points and 6 assists per game in his peak years and was a 3-time All-Star. His career serves as a reminder that raw talent and excitement can only carry a player so far when injuries and circumstances intervene. Francis's story is about unrealized potential, fleeting prime, and the cruel hand of fate in professional basketball.